Good morning, everyone. Right, ready to go. Right, intro and welcome. I'm the president, as Sally said, of the Penguin History Group. Have been for the past 10 years or so. This idea of a family exhibition, it's not a reunion, an exhibition featuring the Ling family, has been about for quite some time. Those of you that are here would know that Penguin's rather a unique community in terms of its founding, in that a large proportion of the early pioneers of the late 50s and particularly the early 1860s were brought out to Tasmania by the Launceston Immigration Society, which was a Methodist-based charity, and so many of the names synonymous with Penguin, including the Lings, that is where they've emanated from. So in order for this weekend and the next week to happen, there have been four people in particular who have played a key, a vital role. Obviously Sally and Peter, and Julie and John. And as well as being members of the Penguin History Group, obviously they've got very close family ties to the Ling family. Personally, like so many of the people in the Penguin community, I myself have links to the Ling family. My great-great-grandmother, Mary Ling, the daughter of Joseph and Eliza, was born in Eccles in Norfolk in 1852. So only as a young child when she actually arrived in Tasmania. My story really is so similar to many other people within the Penguin community, and I know this having lived here my 66 years. So many people you would say with the surname Ling, oh, are you related? No, nothing to do with them. And we know, and just through the research we've done here, you don't have to scratch the surface too far at all to find that so many of us really do have links back to those early pioneering families, Lings in particular. Now, to today's choice of speaker to launch this auspicious occasion. Barry Ling is a typical, community-spirited, hard-working, dedicated and proud Northwest Coaster. He was awarded an Order of Australia some time ago now as recognition for his devoted services to the sport which he loved, still does, athletics, at which he was a highly competent and competitive exponent for many, many years. But unlike so many other sportsmen, he wasn't satisfied with merely the competing. He also played a key role in the sports administration, something few other people actually do. In addition to his sports involvement, he has devoted large amounts of his time to the local Lions Club. Just from that brief synopsis, it's obvious that Barry personifies so many of the valued traits of those early pioneers. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Barry. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig, for those very kind words. As mentioned, I have put a lot into athletics, mainly distance running, and over 55 years now, so it's been a great pleasure. This weekend is very special to the families. As mentioned and the history books will show to you that my side, the Williams Ling side, on the whirlwind in 1855. There was William and Eliza, as in D. Dove, and Leonard and Mary, D. Chapman. They docked in Launceston on Thursday, April the 5th. And I often wondered if the weather was like today, it would be pretty ordinary when they were towed into the port. Following closely in 1857 on the Southern Eagle with Joseph and Eliza, which was near Thurlow. They arrived on the Thursday, the 27th of August. The original those that went to Deloraine to start with, and then made their way down to Penguin. They arrived with also the founding pioneers of Penguin, the Lancasters, the Barkers, the Fieldings, the Taylors, the Yaxleys, the Kidds, the Rebels, the Hales, the Johnsons and Barnes, and the Sussons, the Botts and the Hall, along with others, and they made their way down here. As mentioned, they were selected from Norfolk in England by the Reverend Drake to start the settlement of Penguin and the northwest coast. They consisted of labourers, mainly farm labourers were their forte, along with the carpenters and the other building trade. It's been reported the first families along made their way into the coast via Deloraine towards Penguin were William Ling along with the William Kidd, and they started cutting palings for the Melbourne market for the growing settlement over there, particularly for the goldfields. It's interesting to note that when they arrived in 1855, the bushranging was still going on in Australia, and Port Arthur was still open, though the shipment of convicts to the island had finished some 2 years before, but the settlement was still open. I often wondered if they knew about that and knew about the bushranging going on within still Australia. It had stopped in Tasmania, they'd caught them all and stopped that trade. You must look at the Lings and the other pioneering families and what the huge task they had to face clearing the land of the very dense bush, to form the farms and to feed their family. There was no government assistance in those days. As mentioned, they consisted of agricultural labourers, carpenters, bricklayers and domestic servants were among the passengers that was going to make up Australia. My connection is to William and Eliza. They had 10 children. They had their eldest son was George, who married Elizabeth Barker, and they had 14 children. Their second son, Francis, or Frank as he's often known as, who married an Emily Smith, they had 9 children. Their second son, also named Francis, my grandfather, married a Ruby Roseland. They had 8 children. Their second son, Roland, married a Linda Aiken. They only had 3 children. I sometimes grew up and wished that I had a lot more siblings to play with. And ironically, I am the second son of Roland and Linda. It has been recorded that there are over 20,500 descendants of those 3 pioneering Penguin families when they first settled here. Many have moved to other districts and started their connection to that area. To name a few that included, again, it's a long list as the family spread out: the Barkers, the Wiggs, the Ollingtons, the Dowse, the Fergusons, the Marthicks, the Hills, the Plapps, the Spinks, the Smiths, Dicks, Creans, Hooper, Dobsons, Robsons, Sussons, Goods, New Dicks, Robsons, Masters. And the list goes on and on and on. There have been 9 generations of Lings in Tasmania, and they all stem from that large families they had from 1857 right up to the day of 2022. My maths tell me that's 167 years in Tasmania. Since then, more names have come in. It's incredible the amount of people that came in that, if you look about, be able to link them together, and that's your connection to the family. I would like everybody to write down your history. Doesn't matter what you think you may not be very interesting. A lot's been recorded. We've got the history books, but your current history, because that will link us all together, families and grandchildren today. We need the history to now for the future of the next generation. I must commend the wonderful work of the Penguin History Group, to Craig, along with his many helpers. You see the display today, and also in what they've done in the grave sides. They're wonderful. This weekend, as mentioned, to Sally and Peter, to Julie, and particularly John Cannon, who's our walking encyclopedia on the families of Lings. So thank you on behalf of the Lings family since 1855. We greatly appreciate the work you have done, and still keep on preserving the history of the Lings of Penguin. It is indeed a great honour to be able to declare this weekend officially open on behalf of all the Ling family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cousin Barry. Thank you, Cousin Craig. We could just call ourselves cousins all day, I think. Thank you, cousins. So the PowerPoint presentation was put together a few weeks ago with my husband's, the Reverend Peter Cottrell. He put a presentation together for the 3 Ling families that came out, just a very small bite size of information. Unfortunately, we can get it to play on the computer, but not the big screen. But because it's electronic, I'm sure we'll get it sorted sometime through the day, so we will keep trying. Also, you can purchase that presentation sight unseen if we can't get it up. And just at the history rooms, you can do that. There's also the photos that are there, they're all numbered, so they can be either ordered. I'm hoping to be over there with my USB stick with all of those photos. If you happen to have a USB stick handy, then you can pop one of those in and we can do it there, and then otherwise we'll email it to you. Some of the presentation will get that emailed. My understanding is that you might be sitting in the pew, not with the cushions though, they're a bit harder, but maybe one of our ancestors sat in, because they certainly had a lot to do with this church when it was the Methodist church. And you can go upstairs, so I have taken the sign off, just be cautious as you're going up there, because there is a bit of a tight bend up there. And I do understand from the oral history that at one point the Methodist church here in Penguin decided that they would put all the Sunday school children up there. It soon got changed. I think that the noise level would have been quite intense. So I think that they reversed that decision quite quickly. Tomorrow we've got worship here at 10 o'clock, and everyone of course is invited to join the Penguin Uniting Church congregation for their normal worship service. And the last thing, Lou from the history group, she also has done a lot of work with the military folder. So if you can find that you have an ancestor that served in the military, and we haven't got them listed in that military folder, it's just in the foyer as you go in, please let us know. It's the only way we find out this information is by someone saying, oh, such and such wasn't there. So please let us know, because we'd love to add that information in. And there's also a guide to the cemetery. We've put together, there's several copies, but there are a limited number of big A3 pieces of paper that have got the cemetery map on it. And inside that you have all of the list of the Ling descendants that are actually buried in the cemetery. And so if you would like to go and visit the cemetery and find who you might be related to, or just have a general walk around the cemetery, that's a lovely place to go and reflect on the people that came, because all 3, we've got Eliza and William has a headstone up there, and they're not far away from each other. If you go to the big rose thorn obelisk, if you go close there, they're not far. If you go towards the sea, they're just around that little area up there, because they're one of the early graves there. Then you've also got Leonard. He has a headstone. You'll find him. And then not far away, if you find the white wooden cross with Joseph, then Leonard's not far towards the sea to the right. And so that's where the 3 headstones are there. And have I missed anything? Yes.
Where William is?
William, yes, so William, thank you. William is buried in New Norfolk. So Eliza Dove had the, well, I'm not sure. It was what happened for her was that William became unwell. I believe he got Addison's disease that affects the mental capacity, and so he was then taken to the Norfolk Hospital, which of course was the mental hospital, and so he died down there, and so he's buried in St Matthew's Cemetery, and there's lots of unmarked graves from the hospital there, but they do have a beautiful wall that has all the names listed for all the people, so his name is there. Eliza then remarried to Samuel Hardstaff. This was all on the presentation, but that's fine. Love it. To Samuel Hardstaff. Samuel Hardstaff then became mentally unwell. He went down to New Norfolk, and he also died down at the New Norfolk Hospital. So I'm not saying anything about Eliza. But he's brought up, so both of them, it was their second marriage, and so he's then brought up to a cemetery near Moriarty, and so that's where he's buried with his first wife there. So she is up here in the Penguin Cemetery by herself. So yes, so that's where she is. So yes. I have, if anyone is interested, I can help them to find their connection if you're not quite 100% sure what connection it is to, which line of the families, which of the three. John's the same, so both of us are quite available to help you work out that connection. Of course, as you could hear from Barry, they had many children, so we had to draw the line at what generation we would stop at, because otherwise it's already enough to people to be discussing. So what we decided was we would draw the line at the third generation, and so that's William and Eliza, then we've got in my direct line, and Barry's George, and then Frank, their son. And that's it, Joanne. So apologies to my mother, because Frank's daughter Ruby married a Rosethorn, and I said to Mum, sorry, when I was putting that ad in the Advocate newspaper, Rosethorn is a very long name. I can fit a Cure and a Yaxley for a Rosethorn, so I'm sorry. When it's a word limit, sorry. So thank you very much for coming. We've had a great time putting this together, and postal directory. So I was quite interested to see who was here. So the postal directory started in 1890, and so you'll find a folder over there just under the TV in the history rooms, and in the folder you will find the postal directory for 1890, then the 1900s, then 1910, and then 1919. They didn't do one in 1920. So in there you will see the expansion of the people in the town and the towns that then grew. So things like Caprona and Sulphur Creek weren't towns, neither was South Ryna or Ryna, so that you can see the expansion over those years.
South Ryna, the actual enrolment records, etc., are available in the history rooms at any time.
Yes.
So come and check that out.
Yeah.
And the last thing, definitely, tea and coffee.
Oh, thank you. Yes. So, I went to visit the archives in Hobart, which is where they keep the directories for the enrolments for the schools, and so they've got the attendance records, so I can check out whether or not how often they went to school, did they pass? So, yes, and it's quite current. So yes, feel free to ask us about those, because we've got them on file for the schools that are available in the archives. We've just digitally copied them and brought them back, because we're allowed to do that, which is great. And we've got tea and coffee, just light refreshments, available in the hall. And so all of these spaces, so the church, the hall and the history rooms, we will be closing them at 3:30, opening again the history rooms tomorrow from 10 till 3:30 again. And inside the program you will see, John, the other days that we continue to be open. Any other questions? Excellent. You may exit either through here or through there. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.